Chris Sale battles his way to another win for the Atlanta Braves. Adam Duvall comes up with another big home run as the Atlanta Braves take down the Arizona Diamondbacks on Tuesday. We'll recap everything from that game and also give you my final preview for the upcoming MLB Draft. All that on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Check out the podcast there as well at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. If you're new and watching on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Also hit that thumbs up button so others can find us here at Locked On Braves. And if you're listening on the audio version, make sure you leave me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And if you're an everydayer, let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for all your comments on these videos. I really do appreciate it. Today's episode, we'll talk about the 6-2 win on Tuesday. The Atlanta Braves over the Diamondbacks. Chris Sale's outing. Adam Duvall with the big home run late to kind of put things away. A lot happening on Tuesday as the Braves continue the role that they are on right now. And then we'll also give our final MLB Draft preview as that is happening this Sunday. So a lot to talk about late night here as we stay up late to record this one on Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning. This episode, though, is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Well, it is another late night, but you were rewarded if you're able to stay up, and we're already up to 30 people here with me live that did stay up, and I know more will be coming in because the Braves give you another win, their fourth straight win, second win here in the series over the Diamondbacks. They already earned themselves a split of this series on the road, which is great to see. Obviously, you want to finish it off with a series win, but you get off to a great start winning the first two. Chris Sale gets another win, his league-leading 12th win of the season as he continues to just dominate every time out. But just all around good game for the Atlanta Braves. Again, picking up these wins against a Diamondbacks team that was starting to heat up a little bit. So certainly love to see that and love to see them continuing the trend from over the weekend against the Phillies. Let's dive into Chris Sale's outing a little bit here. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 walks, 2 earned, 9 strikeouts on 100 pitches. Doesn't seem all that great, but the fact that he had almost a 30 pitch first inning, 29 pitches in that first inning, and still able to work into the 6th inning, struck out the first batter in the 6th inning, and then unfortunately ended his outing by giving up back-to-back hits, both of those runners coming around to score. But he hadn't given up anything through 5 innings and really had to battle in this one. Now, he did start to settle down after that first inning, but still, I didn't think he was going to be able to pitch into the 6th inning, and he did in this one. Maybe left him out there a little bit too long, but the fact you had a good lead there, I think gives you that chance. And again, with extra innings coming on Monday, this long road trip and this long stretch of games to end the first half of the season, you really wanted to get as many outs as you could with Chris Sale. And so him being the veteran, I'm sure he was wanting to go back out there. And you did get at least 1 out in the 6th inning before Jesse Chavez came on to get out of that jam and pitch another inning as well. 5 hard hits allowed for Chris Sale, 93.8 mile-per-hour exit velocity against. So some hard contact against him. Again, when he had contact, there were also 9 strikeouts on the night. So a lot of his outs came via the strikeout in this one. Only 12 whiffs, but 26 called strikes for a CSW percentage of 38. And again, it's always remind you 30 is good. Anything over 30 is really, really good. Anything close to 40 is just elite for a CSW percentage. So that is certainly great. 8 whiffs on 20 swings against that slider. So that pitch was working for him a lot of the night, but the changeup wasn't really going for him in this one. Did get the swings and misses on it. Wasn't really able to throw it for strikes. So I really just had the fastball slider going, which is probably why he had to work a little bit harder with pretty much just those 2 pitches on the night, which is generally what he throws. But you'd love to see that changeup be able to get mixed in a little bit especially against right-handed hitters. But overall, just another great performance from Chris Sale, what he's done all season long, giving the Braves an opportunity to win. And again, racking up another win, 12 already. We haven't reached the All-Star break. Could the Braves have a 20-game winner in 3 straight seasons? You just don't see that very often. The Braves have done it in back-to-back years. Could they do it again this season as well? That would certainly be an accomplishment for Chris Sale. On the offensive side of things, every spot in the lineup had a hit except for Orlando Arcia, who did drive in a run in this one with a hard hit that I'll talk about in a minute, but he had an RBI chance in the 8th inning, or runners on the corner with 1 out, and struck out there. Those are the situations you're really looking for improvement. Got to find a way to put the bat on the ball. Rosario is over 3, but Eli White pinch hit for him in that 8th inning and got an RBI triple. So again, every spot but the 9th spot had a hit in this game. But you consider the fact that Arcia did drive in a run on the error. Everybody in the lineup contributed in some way, and that's always what I love to see from this Braves offense. You had 3 hard hit balls from Kelnick, Ozuna, and Duvall. So those guys just absolutely pounding the baseball. Duvall had the swing of the game, which again we'll talk about more in a minute, but good to see him get things going. He did have the 3-run home run off Zach Gallen to knock him out of the game. I talked about it yesterday, last night, this morning. I'm not sure which day it is at the moment. I talked about Zach Gallen, the fact that he gives up a ton of hard contact. He gave up 10 hard hit balls in this game. Braves, again, were able to knock him out. They were trying to get as much as they could out of Gallen as well, as they were in the same spot, but Zach Gallen gives up 5 runs, 4 earned on 7 hits, 1 walk over 5 1/3 innings with 4 strikeouts, give 1 home run there to Adam Duvall on 105 pitches. But again, 10 hard hit balls against Zach Gallen in this game. Talk about some of the key moments from the game. Sale in the 1st inning, which is an inning that he's struggled with. Hasn't had a lot of struggle, but that 1st inning sometimes takes a minute for him to get locked in. He walked 2 batters in the 1st inning, loaded the bases with 2 outs, and then got a ground out from McCarthy on the 1st pitch he threw to him. So that was certainly a relief. But again, that 29 pitch 1st inning really set him back. And at that point, you knew it was going to be a battle just to get him through 5 innings. So love the fact that he was able to settle down there. Really, the 2nd inning too, his pitch count was already approaching 50 pitches. So he had to throw a lot in this one. We've seen this from this Diamondbacks offense in the first 2 games. They're really patient, take a lot of pitches. And so they really drove up Sale's pitch count. Braves were doing the same thing to Gallen. You knew neither one of these starters were going to be around very long, but both of them really able to settle down and work into the 6th inning. But that 1st inning, very key, as Sale was struggling a bit, loaded the bases, but able to get out of it without allowing any runs. And then in the 2nd inning, the Braves able to scratch across 2 runs. After the Sale leaves the bases loaded there, so you got a lot of momentum. Braves carry that into the 2nd inning. They get some help from Ketel Marte, who was unable to handle the line drive from Arcia. To be fair, that ball was hit 104.2 miles per hour. It was a great swing by Arcia. He deserved a hit and an RBI on that one, but does go down as an error because it was right at Marte, went off his glove, not able to secure it, and the Braves get that add-on run there and able to put up a crooked number in the 2nd inning off Gallen. You love to see that because there's been so many times this offense has gotten in those situations early and just weren't able to capitalize and put a number up on the board. So absolutely love to see that in that 2nd inning, taking that early lead. And why that was the other reason that was big in this game is, again, with the way these offenses were working, these pitchers, you knew neither one of them was going to be able to go 6-7 innings in this one, and you knew the bullpens were taxed. So to be able to get a lead early and kind of already strategizes how these managers are going to work the bullpen in the end of the game, it ended up not mattering because the Braves really didn't have to go to any of their high leverage guys either, although maybe Jesse Chavez is that, if you believe so. But being able to get that lead early kind of dictates what the bullpen usage is going to be the rest of the way. So that was really key. And then maybe the biggest moment of the game, Adam Duvall getting that 3-run home run off Zach Gallen in the 6th inning, knocked him out of the game, really opened things up, and that was pretty much ball game at that point. So that was a huge home run from Duvall. Went down and got that pitch and drove it out to left center. Just an absolute blast from Adam Duvall, who has really picked it up here as of late. That home run was 109.1 miles per hour off the bat, went 400 feet. We don't have to worry. That was out in 30 of 30 ballpark. So just an absolute great swing from Adam Duvall, who again has turned things around a little bit here lately, especially against right-handed hitters. And look, last year going into May, everybody was ready to DFA Marcell Ozuna, and he turned things around. Coming into July here, a lot of people were wanting to DFA Adam Duvall. We talked about it here on the podcast that it could be a possibility. At that time, though, I said there just weren't any other options, and we're probably going to continue to see Adam Duvall. And we have, and good thing that has been the case, and Snickers' loyalty proving true once again, because Duvall has really turned things around. You know what he can do when he's hot. I don't think he's all of a sudden going to have a Marcell Ozuna type turnaround, but again, he is starting to come around with the bat. We're seeing those home runs. We're seeing that big power that he had. He was still hitting the ball hard before. He just wasn't getting rewarded for it. And now we're seeing him get rewarded for this hard contact. So hopefully that continues for Adam Duvall, be a big boost to the bottom of the order. So a great win for the Atlanta Braves. Again, 4 in a row, earning at least a split in this 4-game series in the desert against the Diamondbacks. So another great game here from Chris Sale and Duvall with a big hit. Next, we'll turn our attention to the MLB Draft. Did you know it's happening this Sunday? It is coming up really, really quick. So this is going to be my final prep and preview who I think the Braves will take, who they've been mocked to take, and who I think they should take. We'll discuss all of that here next. This episode of Locked On Braves is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rivals' cities with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival's city. And the Braves have a big series coming up later in the year at Philadelphia, 4-game series. So if you need to knock that stadium off your bucket list, maybe you're actually interested in visiting Philadelphia, make sure to make your plans through Booking.com. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event, and you don't when you use Game Time. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They have killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I've been telling you about Game Time for a while. I'm a personal user of Game Time. They're the only ticketing app I use now when I go to events, including Braves game. So if you're thinking about coming to an upcoming Braves game, make sure that you check out Game Time app. The Game Time guarantee means you'll get the best price. You find tickets in the same section in a row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You enjoy listening to sports all day in the background while you work? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program just for you every day with the biggest stories. Don't miss, can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Coming up later this week on the podcast, we'll have our Around the League segment on Thursday. We'll have our mailbag episode on Friday. I'm not sure when these are going to come out at this point. This West Coast trip is kind of throwing things off. I don't know how many more of these nights I can stay up late like this and do these, but these are fun. Enjoy doing these live after Braves games like this. But we will have at least 2 more episodes coming up this week, and me and Grant will get back on the postcast as well over the weekend. The MLB Draft starts this Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern. The Braves will have 2 picks on day 1 of the MLB Draft, including the 24th overall pick, which is what we're going to focus on today. Looking at some of the mock drafts that have come out for the Atlanta Braves, several names that have been linked to the Braves have been rumored, hinted at that the Braves could take. Obviously, the Braves let nothing out, and with the 24th pick, it's impossible to predict what is going to happen. But Brody Brecht, right-handed pitcher out of Iowa, Durangelo Senja, right-handed pitcher out of Mississippi State, Ryan Waldschmidt, outfielder from Kentucky, and Braylon Doughty, high school right-handed pitcher from California. I feel like Carson Bench, Oklahoma State, I know is another one. I feel like those are the main guys who have been mocked to the Atlanta Braves. That doesn't necessarily mean much of anything, but I think all of those are interesting guys that make sense. But who I think the Braves will take, if you're asking me right now, I feel like Braylon Doughty is the one that just seems to be getting linked to the Braves the most here lately as we get closer to the draft. And I think he makes a lot of sense. I think college hitter is probably what you expect at this point, either college hitter or college pitcher. I'll be honest, the college bats around that are likely to be available at pick 24 don't really excite me, whether it's Waldschmidt, Carson Bench, Dakota Jordan. These are all guys I like, but none of them really excite me. And just personally as a fan, I want an exciting pick in the first round, and that's hard to come by when you're picking so late in the draft every year. But there's just no one in this range that wows me that I think could be a 5-tool, even 4-tool all-star type of player. Brecht and Senja give you some upside, but it seems like, I don't know, I like both of those. They're certainly on my list of guys that I like the Braves to take. There just seems to be a lot of smoke around Doughty at the moment. So again, if I'm having to predict who I think they're going to take, again, there just seems to be a lot of talk about Braylon and Doughty, again, the right-handed pitcher out of California, mid to upper 90s fastball, slightly above average curve and slider, good command, athletic with a desire to learn and grow. They talk about his makeup and just his ability to learn pitching, his desire to want to learn how to pitch, which I think is very important and something the Braves certainly are looking at. Unless just a clear stud were to fall to the Braves like it did last year with Waldrop, I would expect them to reach down and take a guy that they can sign well under slot. And Doughty may be that guy, maybe not well under slot, but I think he is somebody that you could get a little bit under slot, and then they'll use the rest of that money to spread it out later and take some chances on guys on day 2. Take some chances on some high school guys to get them signed. That's what the Braves have done a lot here recently, especially when they picked at the back half of the draft. They'll try to go under slot first round and then just go over slot on some guys on day 2. Again, if you're asking me to predict what would happen, that's what I predict what would happen, is that the Braves kind of reach down in the first round, take somebody that they can get for an underslot deal, and then spread that money out with maybe their second round pick or some day 2 picks. Now, some guys that I hope the Braves will take, some guys that are coming up on my radar, at least right now, there isn't honestly anybody that I just love for the Braves in the first round that I think is going to be available to them, which is unfortunate. This time last year, Waldrop was the guy that I was really keen on, but I kept saying there's no way he falls to the Braves. And I don't know who that guy is this year, except for maybe Vance Honeycutt from North Carolina. If he were to somehow fall to 24 and the Braves could grab him, I'd be pretty ecstatic. But again, even he comes with some pretty big flaws and some big question marks with the hit tool. Kelnick's Boomstick says Vance Honeycutt is the guy that he wants the Braves really to take there. He certainly is up on my list. I just don't think he's going to make it to the Braves. And that's why I think the Braves should just take a chance here on upside, because, again, there's nobody that just wows me. So take the guy with the loudest tool and see if that can develop that into something, most likely on the pitcher side of things. You could play it safe with college hitters like Billy Amick from Tennessee or Dakota Jordan, as I mentioned earlier, Mississippi State. Those bats should be available to you. They just don't do much for me. If you're going to take a bat in the first round, you really, I feel, need to be somebody that you are confident is going to be able to come up and contribute at the big league level. And those bats just aren't available in the back half of the first round. I mean, there are bats there that will do that, but it's not anything that I think you can really just kind of guarantee. You really can't guarantee much, but you want to get those big college bats, you got to pick in the top 10 to 15 picks. At this point, there's just too many question marks about some of these hitters. Honeycutt, as I said, it's the last bat for me that might slip to the Braves, but there are just big concerns about the hit tool, huge strikeout rate at college. But you're looking at somebody who is probably going to be at least a 2020 player. He has good power, good speed, and plays Gold Glove defense. So, you're looking with somebody with already has some loud tools, but certainly that question mark for the hit tool. I mean, if you can't hit and he's a 200, 220 hitter, really going to be hard to get him to the big leagues, even with the power speed combo that he has. Next name up is high school right-hander William Schmidt. He has one of the highest graded secondary pitches in the draft with a 70 grade curveball that comes in at the low 80s, and he pairs that with a mid to upper 90s fastball. That just seems like a devastating mix right there for Schmidt. If he makes it to the Braves, this could be one of the highest upside arms in the draft, but he also comes with some reliever risk because of his mechanics, just hard to repeat. If they were going to reach down and go under slot on a college arm, I wouldn't mind Bryce Cunningham. He ranks in kind of the 60, 70 range, but he's somebody you could take with that 24th overall pick, go well under slot. And I think he's a pretty safe bet to stick in the back of the rotation. And perhaps there's a little more upside with him. He never quite reached that ceiling at Vanderbilt, but certainly he has all the tools to kind of be that back of the rotation guy. So again, if the Braves were to go and reach down and again go well under slot for a guy in the first round, Cunningham would be somebody that I would like to see them take. Brecht has a 70 grade fastball and slider, but huge command issues and huge reliever risk. But again, somebody that has a ton of upside. And if I'm drafting at 24th overall, I want to take somebody I think could turn into an absolute stud. If you can get that guy under slot, great. I think Honeycutt and Brecht and Schmidt are all guys that you probably can't get under slot. But those are the three guys that I would love for the Braves to get at 24. If they could get Schmidt, Honeycutt, or Brecht at 24, I would be pretty ecstatic because I just think the ceiling for those three guys is as high as anyone that could be available to them at 24. Some other picks that aren't quite as exciting that I would like, Ryan Sloan, another high school pitcher. I think he would be solid there. Senja, I've talked about somebody his size, his build kind of worries me a little bit. He's been kind of compared to Marcus Stroman, but I think maybe there's a little bit room for more with him, especially as he just sticks throwing it from the right side. So he's somebody I wouldn't mind there. And then Jonathan Santucci is not somebody we've talked a lot about, but he's the guy from Duke. I watched early in the year, left-handed pitcher. Don't really see that too often for the Braves early in the draft, but he's a guy I watched early in the season for Duke coming off of injury, and he just looked fantastic. Now, struggled with command throughout the year at Duke, had some ups and downs. Again, coming off injury, coming into the 2024 season, but that's somebody you could take in the first round, get under slot, and I think there's a lot of upside potential for Santucci. So those are the six guys that I would target, with Schmidt, Honeycutt, and Brecht being guys that I would love. Sloan, Senja, Santucci, guys that I would like, but wouldn't be quite as exciting. So that's what I hope the Braves do. We'll see what happens on Sunday. Again, got the 24th overall pick. That starts at 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about that a lot early next week with the MLB Draft happening, again, starting on Sunday, running through Tuesday. Let me know who you think the Braves should take. Should they take a pitcher? Should they take a hitter? I see some of you commenting. SFV or SWVF says, please don't draft another pitcher. They're going to. I think it's a smart play. You got to have as many arms as you can. Joseph Recap saying Vance Honeycutt, would love for him to drop to the Braves there, but don't think it's going to happen. Drew Phillips, Braves never draft college bats. And part of that is you're drafting in the back half of the first round. The last time they did it, they had a top 10 pick. They took Shea Langoliers. They also took Braden Shoemake in that draft as well. It's just, if you don't have a pick in those first 10 to 15 hitters, you're not getting a solid college bat. You're getting one at the back half, which has some question marks. So that's why I say just take the upside on pitching. You're going to need pitching. You can always trade pitching. And I think that's where the Braves will continue to go. But again, we'll see what happens on Sunday. All right, next we'll preview Wednesday's matchup where Charlie Morton's on the mound, and a little worried about what we might get from Charlie Morton on Wednesday, but it's a chance for Braves to go ahead and clinch this series. We'll discuss that here next. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. All you got to do is what I'm doing right now. Open up the Prize Picks app, click on the MLB tab there. Don't have Brave stuff up just quite yet for Wednesday, but you look out there right now, they have Bobby Witt for 9.5 hitter fantasy score. All you do is hit more or less. They got Rafael Devers for 8. We'll have pitcher strikeouts on here, total bases, first inning runs scored, all that happening. You can see it all on the Prize Pick app, and it's available in Georgia. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. On Wednesday, it'll be Charlie Morton versus TBD. Have not heard who the Diamondbacks are throwing yet on Wednesday against the Atlanta Braves. But for Charlie Morton in this one, been a roller coaster for him lately. 0 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 1 earned run, 5 earned runs, no earned runs, 3 earned runs. And I feel like that's been the Charlie Morton experience for a couple of years now, going on 3 years. I feel like it's been like that. Should be due for a good one if that continues. We know for Charlie by now, it all comes down to whether or not he has good control of his pitches. Can he get that curveball over for strikes, or is he hitting people in the back foot with it? It's a team that doesn't walk much, doesn't strike, or it's a team that walks a lot, doesn't strike out all that much like that Giants lineup that he struggled with. So this matchup does scare me, especially with what we've seen from the Diamondbacks the first 2 games in this series. They take a lot of pitches, they'll take their walks. And if Charlie Morton is not on his game and he's not able to get that curveball over for a strike, could be a rough outing for Charlie Morton. Hope I'm wrong, but again, the matchup just does not seem great for Charlie Morton in this one. A little bit of news from the day. A.J. Smith-Shawver activated and recalled. He's likely going to fill in a bullpen role for the rest of the first half in this one. So if a starter can't go long in the game, maybe it really is a terrible matchup for Charlie Morton. He can't get through the 5th inning. Maybe we see A.J. Smith-Shawver. Schwellenbach's not able to go deep. It's going to be that type of thing for A.J. Smith-Shawver here down the stretch. Very, good chance that he gets optioned. If he's not used in the next couple of days, they'll send him down to allow him to continue to rehab. But that is the plan right now with A.J. Smith-Shawver up. Not here to start, just here to fill in a bulk innings reliever type of role with Grant Holmes pitching a lot here recently. But again, love to see A.J. Smith-Shawver up here. I think we'll see him in the rotation back again at some point this year. But if the rotation stays like it is, I think there's a chance we see A.J. Smith-Shawver come out of the bullpen down the stretch and hopefully in the postseason. The Braves get there with a healthy rotation. You got Fried, you got Sale, you got Lopez, you got Morton potentially. A.J. Smith-Shawver could be a real weapon in the bullpen. So I kind of hope we get to see him, but also just want to get him back down to Gwinnett to get him stretched out for the second half. Right. Again, I think we'll see him starting in the Braves rotation. So A.J. Smith-Shawver back up, but again, only here to be used if needed out of the bullpen. For the Braves offense, want to see them continue to get things going. Again, don't know who's going to be pitching for the Diamondbacks just yet, but this offense, they've scored 5 or 6 runs in 5 straight games now. So love to see that from this offense. Obviously, 2 of those coming in extra innings the other night, but this offense is in a little bit of a groove at the moment. Love to see that. Again, want to see that continue. This Braves offense up and down, really starting to get it done at the moment. A lot of guys contributing. Want to see that continue on a Wednesday and go ahead and wrap up this series and get the road trip started with a series win. Want to thank Mass Boost, Chris Hutchins, Caleb Jones, Joseph's Recap, Golden Child, AJ Evans, Marquise Nichols says, Jake, shout out to you for staying up. Man, I'm stationed in Arizona, and I'm tired of staying up to watch the game. At least you're over there. You got another hour on me. I know Docs, I don't see him in the chat, but Docs is going to the game on Wednesday. Wish you luck. Hope you get good. Charlie Morton, Jeffrey Humphreys, thanks for reminding people, like, subscribe to the podcast. A new turbo in here as well. Thank you so much for joining me and staying up late for another episode of Locked On Braves after another Braves victory. And Jacob Dozier says, shout out from the Rocket City up in Huntsville. It's where my mom's from. So thank you again for staying up late with me here tonight. Make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube. If you're new, hit that thumbs up button. Follow us on social media at shortstopball, at LockedOn_Braves. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.